want to welcome everybody back to part two, and we're going to get right into it with the commissioner. Commissioner, you and I were just talking about legal pet peeves. Can you share a couple of your pet peeves with us?
So I have a normal one, and then I have an extreme one. So my normal one is everybody uses previous filings to, you don't start from
the templates,
scratch.
exactly.
You don't type a petition from scratch because you'd go insane. But if you save, it's a routine petition or it's a routine answer and you save it, you're going to use it again from client A to client B, make sure client A's information is not still on it. So I've seen so many filings that might still have the wrong address, might have the wrong defendant, might have might have the wrong complaint, and it just drives me nuts. So I don't think I've ever managed to do that, but it's
guilty as charged. Sure. I have done it. Yeah, it's just volume. It's based on volume, but you are exactly right.
Enough to do it. The second one is don't lie to your attorney. So I've had clients lie to me about things I directly ask them, and then it comes, it's revealed a couple of days later, a week later, whenever, and I can't represent them anymore because the facts are not the facts and they don't have a leg to stand on. So I remember I was representing a family that a mobile park was trying to evict, and mobile park landlord law is very different from regular landlord law. So if they had violated a park rule twice within a 12-month period or 3 times within a 12 month, they could be evicted on that, even if they were paying rent and they technically owned the trailer and everything, they could still be evicted from the park. So I was representing the family. I met with the husband. The husband said, oh yeah, we didn't do anything. Like, I was painting and I put some paint out and then I brought it inside. And now they're saying like we were, breaking the rules by having junk in the yard for all this time. I'm like, cool. A week later, I talked to the wife and she's like, yeah, we were painting the room and we moved all the furniture out. I said, oh, okay. How long was the furniture? She's like, a couple days. I went, I'm sorry, it was what? Which is very different from, the paint cans were outside for a couple hours while we finished up inside versus we moved all of our furniture out to the yard for a few days, which makes completely different circumstances, which means what I filed is wrong, which makes me look bad and incompetent. And then, whatever credibility I have in that court with those attorneys, with the park, if I try to represent other tenants, it goes south really fast. So don't lie to your lawyer. Don't lie to your doctor. That's it. Anybody else, feel free to lie. I don't care. Don't lie to your lawyer. Don't lie to your doctor.
Thank you, Commissioner. Those are words of truth, right? If I can literally, right, say that, and I do encourage all my students, please, it's garbage in, garbage out, right? So if you feed me a line, right, and I think people want to look good, you and I know, Commissioner, so sometimes I don't want to say they're necessarily lying, but, they put themselves in the best light, right, with the facts. I'm sure you've encountered that, right, and yeah, we see that a lot, but absolutely listen to the commissioner, please, on this. I'm telling all my students that, right now and all my clients, and if I could retroactively make them listen to you, Commissioner, I would. Inspirations. Quick shout out. We were just talking about some inspirations, and I want to give out, if this is okay.
Yep, go for it.
Career Services, the law school, and correct me if I miss any of their names, but I think that they do deserve to be appreciated here. And I'm not going to do them justice, but let me start with Stephanie, Ebony, Lori, Rob, Jeremy, and Aaron, right, at Career Services. And you and I were talking about how instrumental they were, right, helping thousands of law students, right, over the years, and everything. So I'm just going to throw that out there very quickly, Commissioner, other inspirations. Can you share with us some of yours?
So my parents,
absolutely.
We might not always agree on things, but my parents, took huge risks, made ginormous sacrifices, struggled through insecurities, financial insecurity, just very obvious racism, a lot, to make sure I could have a college education, to help me be prepared for law school, to help me with my campaign. They've done a lot, and they showed me that perseverance. There could be a lot in the world that breaks you, but you have to persevere through it, because otherwise you absolutely just lose. Let's see, other inspirations. St. Thomas More. So I'm very Catholic. St. Thomas More is the patron saint of lawyers and statesmen. So I get a double in that one. And another person who stood in the face of something that was wrong, something that was a lie, and he might have been executed for it, but he was honest till the end. And I admire that. My parents are horribly disappointed that I admire that, but I admire that.
Oh, Commissioner, I'm, knock on wood here, right? That I want to keep you as long as possible, right? You're really serving your constituents and our students and homeless and everyone here, in our community very, very well. So I don't want to make you into a martyr, I'm knocking on wood. I do want to thank you again for the shout out to your parents. And Hialeah is actually one of my favorite places, believe it or not, right? And it's really an amazing, the food is amazing. The people are amazing. No, let me give a shout out here. The people are amazing. The food is amazing. The dynamic nature, I think, of everything. And it really saddens me about the racism and other things, that were encountered, right? Because I believe there are so many stories, your parents being, right, one of the stories, we're lucky to have you, Commissioner, right? From Cuba and everything. And I just think that it's amazing. So thank you, for that shout out to your parents, on it. So special advice from your unique perspective for our students. You've just given us a lot of advice, given us some great inspirations. Any special advice? Don't lie. Okay, I got that from you, right? Don't file pleadings with the the wrong demographic information on it, right? I'm trying to think, Commissioner. Be a city commissioner. What would you? That's not going to be high in your list of priorities. I can see here.
It depends on the week if I recommend that for other people. Depends on what emergency we're dealing with, whether I recommend politics for others. Let's see. Be engaged. Just go out and try things. Don't be in your ivory tower. Don't be on your island. Go out and try things. If you don't like it, you don't have to continue it, but try things. Let's see, what was the other one I had on the tip of my tongue? Oh, speaking of trying things, in law school, I don't care if you're going to be a public defender, if you're going to go into big law, if you love tax, go out and actually try it. In your internship, go out and try it with volunteer work. You might hate it. So I swore up and down I would never touch family law. And I did children's services. And even though it was tragic and awful and I cried, I loved it. And I don't want to say I loved working domestic violence, but it was the most comfortable I was in a field where there is no way I'm the bad guy here. I know I'm fighting for my client. Let's do this. And it was the same with children's services. And I fell in love with family law. But I wouldn't have known that if I hadn't tried it. So definitely try to get as much real experience as you can through volunteering, through just going to watch court. Just go see what it actually is like, because that, better than when you've signed on a job and now you hate it. Make time for yourself.
Thank you. Self-care, absolutely. Something we don't hear enough.
I don't do that as often as I should, but one of my fellow commissioners, when I was an attorney, I said, I really want to take this vacation, but I have this dumpster fire to deal with. And his response was, there will always be a dumpster fire. You staying and you leaving does not impact the dumpster fire. Go take your weekend holiday. I went, they're not wrong. And I did. And I was so much better when I came back, because otherwise I would have broken down. Absolutely. And I say this having just come off a 3-week recess where I wasn't sure if I wanted to come back to the office. But it was rejuvenating. It was wonderful. I actually got sunshine and walked around and didn't sit in a chair for 8 hours.
Commissioner, can you show us your coffee cup? I love it. I'll share mine with you too. And oh yeah, exactly. And does anybody, and I hope you don't take this the wrong way, does anybody ever say, you remind them of, is it Leslie Knope? Is that the character's name? I'm trying to make sure that I get it right here.
One of my internships was working at the county attorney's office, and they had me review all of the parks and rec code.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. So yeah.
It was meant to be.
Yeah. Thank you. I really love that show. Part of it may be the safe, benign humor, I think. But any of us.
No, it's all accurate.
Thank you.
It is all accurate.
any of us who've worked in government, thank you, Commissioner. It is accurate. It's 100%, right? So do you have any Chris Traegers in your world?
No, but we do have, I don't know, we do have the gentleman who comes in and says, I know the charter better than any of you, and I'm
Ron
going
Swanson?
to explain how you... No, not Ron.
Not Ron. Okay.
The public individual, a member of the public.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
He's played by that famous actor. I can't remember his name now. The shorter, stumpier dude who has the charter, and he's like, I rewrote also Star Wars. This is how I think it's going to look. And the one who says, I know the history of the city better, and this is how the pilgrims or the frontiersmen would have lived in our town, and I live in the historic setting way better than you ever will. Turns out he has no friends. We have one of those. We do have a Ron Swanson-esque type. We definitely have me.
Leslie.
Yep. Let's see. I haven't watched it in forever because I watch it and I cringe because I feel like I'm at work. Tom. We have a Tom.
You have a Tom. Okay.
We have a Tom.
Okay. So if I join City Commission, I can be the Chris Traeger, right? Not that
happily
anybody has
we
ever.
We are looking for that opening.
Thank you. Literally, right? Literally. Okay, I got to get it down here. My coffee cup, just to share real quick with you. Yeah, you can probably read it. What is it? Oh, for fuck's sake. Okay, yeah. Which is probably about as strong in terms of humor, that I go here. Near and dear friend gave it to me. I love yours too. Near and I'm guessing someone also gifted you.
A law student mentee gave it.
So nice. Yeah, so nice. And let me ask you, favorite music.
So I'm a nerd and I really like Broadway music. And it just so happens there's a Legally Blonde Broadway musical. So I might have listened to that an unhealthy amount of times driving to and from law school, and probably even while studying. But
great. How about yeah, Hamilton. Hamilton fan?
That too.
Yes.
That came out my second year of law school, or that summer of the second year, and I listened to that way too often. Same with In the Heights, but it would also make me cry. But have
you seen the movie? The movie just came out.
I love it.
You've already seen it.
Okay.
Recommendation for our students? Do you recommend?
Watch it.
Do it. Okay. Yeah.
Have tissues.
Lin-Manuel Miranda musicals, right? Moana. We'll throw them all in there, right? On it. Yeah. Thank you. No, that's wonderful. And because you're a literature major, I have to ask you, book recommendations.
So I have a favorite author. It's a young adult author, but I've just never outgrown her, and I go back every couple of years and reread. So Tamara Pierce, she has written since the late 80s, mid-late 80s. She has written in the same universe trilogies and quartets of female leads. So it's fantasy, but it has always had a female lead, and she has written, they've progressively gotten, bigger, like more pages once it became apparent that children could read more than 300 pages. The books have gotten bigger. They've matured along with us and her. She has just recently written one that focuses on a male character that's came out in one of the 90s books, but just recently is doing a duet with one of the male characters. But I think she's created 5 or 6, like through multiple books, heroines that are absolutely very strong, independent women that I very much admired when I was a kid.
Female empowerment, same, very, very important and near and dear to, my family, my daughter, Hunger Games, Handmaid's Tale, I could go down the list here. I was telling a student, gosh, I want a male empowerment recent book, and she goes, well, Layne, you have basically dominated for 3,000 years. So, if you can give us a couple of, decades or something. Tamara Pierce, you're talking about female empowerment, and is that fantasy as well? Mm-hmm. Element that's I'm pulling it up. Okay, here
she is a young adult fantasy writer, but her later books you could pick them up, in your 20s, and it's fine. It's not teenager-y. It's I think I was in undergrad or grad school when I read the Becca Cooper books. So no, not the Becca Cooper and the Hand of the God? She touches on issues like colonialism, like racism, sexual discrimination. She touches on all of those. Also, changing anatomy in a young woman. So it touched on a lot of things that would have been really taboo in the 80s and 90s, but she did it very subtly. And as you go back as an adult, I'm 30 now, but I go back now and I see even more stuff that I didn't pick up on as a kid, but I'm sure subconsciously I did.
It's
she is great.
Yeah, thank you for all of that. I'm pulling it up here, and just to shout out, and I'll put a link in, as well, to her works, because I think it is important. Paige, The Woman Who Rides, Terrier, First Test, Trickster's Choice, Emperor Magic, Briar's book, Triss's book, right? Battle Magic, amazing, array of books there. Thank you for that. And I think that that's really important. I was going to say some of the literature, Holes was one of them, and might be kind of considered, a little bit more younger, reading, but I think it's great for adults too, as well. And favorite film, TV shows. I know you like Parks and Rec. We talked about that.
So I'm currently in love with Loki, but I think that says more about me and my taste in men. But I'm currently in love with Loki. I need to finish this last season of Handmaid's Tale. I love SVU. I don't know why, like Law and Order, SVU. I've been addicted to it for years. I get mad at it sometimes. I'm like, that's not how court works. But I like that. I liked Suits. I liked Scandal. I liked How to Get Away with Murder. Didn't really love the ending, but I watched it. A lot of legal shows, I will say, and it's almost torture because I'm upset at how they're doing things, but I like it. And then there's just pure fiction. Loki, WandaVision, I cried. I absolutely just sobbed at the end. So I like things that almost get me to feel, because sometimes you're not allowed to feel on this job. So having that catharsis through television, it's great.
Thank you. I'm looking up Loki now, and it's I won't mention the network because I don't want to get censored by YouTube or anything, right? I can kind of tell what you're subscribing to here, though. Commissioner, no, thank you for that. Now I'll put a link, as well. It's incredibly highly rated, by the way. So it's good. I'm looking at 8.9 out of 10 on IMDb. Here I go. I was saying I was not going to mention product placement. Okay, that's not product placement. That's just a site to go to. I know we have to be so careful, Commissioner, right, in our jobs and our respective roles, on these things. And I always tell my students, like you, I have nothing to sell, right? Volunteering, I'm glad that you advocated for that. But really, I'm not here selling a product, right? You and I both exist in the nonprofit realm, which is a wonderful world to exist in, right? In a way, we're not out there billing, day and night.
That was terrible. I hated that.
Thank you. Yeah. And I think that's a reason why we're here in our respective roles. Closing thoughts, deathbed wisdom. I'm looking at the time, and I know I got to get you ready. In about 2 minutes, I want to give you a bathroom break too. Really for me, deathbed bucket list, wisdom to leave us with, Commissioner.
So I think bucket list, if all of this, I'm not sure how far I want to go on the political train, because it depends on the week. But one thing I do want to end up using my law degree for is I want to go back to federal Indian law. So my last year of law school, I did NALSA, so Native American Law Student Association moot court. That was amazing. I did independent study with my federal Indian law professor. I took federal Indian law. I think I also then had 2 independent projects with him. So it was just a whole year of working on things revolving around Native culture and how they, as tribal governments, interact and govern themselves, but also the federal interaction between state and the federal government with these tribal entities. And it was incredible. There is a world of law just within that. There are tribes that hire their own prosecutors, that hire their own judges. They have whole legal systems within themselves, or they share it among a couple tribes. And I always said, if I don't have anything else in my life, I want to do that. If I'm completely settled, I have kids that are out of the house, I want to go back and do that, because it was just it was an alternate reality of law that was built. And I highly recommend folks look into it, because there just aren't enough folks who go into that field or who even bother to know the basics. But it is just mind boggling and so interesting. If you do like a cursory glance of it.
So. Thank you. Thank you for the shout out. First Nation, Indigenous, Native Americans, right? A world of law out there. Finally, I hear it on the news sometimes now, which I think is, giving it a little bit, not enough, exactly right, but I do want to give a shout out, to these individuals. Thank you, Commissioner. I've never heard, this is the first time that's come up, and I think it's such an important area of law too. And like you mentioned, thank you so much, Commissioner. I'm looking at the time. You spared an hour and a half of a very busy schedule with us today. On behalf of my students, our viewers, Student Legal Services, thank you so much.
You're welcome. It's always a joy to talk to you and help out. So whenever you need me.
Thank you.